Hello, my dear friends. Thank you for being here with me today. My name is Miriam, and before I ever stepped into the light, I walked for years in places most people don't even believe exist. I was once deep in witchcraft, trained to see moments when people were spiritually exposed and funerals were always marked as open doors. I'm not here to scare you, but to open your eyes with love and truth. There are certain behaviors at funerals that, in the dark world I came from, were seen as invitations, not to comfort, but to attack. Grief is holy, but it is also a vulnerable state.
Rituals provide a
When
rhythm
the
to
heart
grief,
breaks,
a collective path
spiritual
through loss.
defenses can
We follow
weaken
the steps
if we
laid
are
out by
unaware.
those before us.
Today I'm
We
going
light
to share 8
candles and lay
things you must
flowers,
never do
performing the
at
traditional
funerals.
gestures
Things
that
I was
bridge the
taught
gap
to watch
between
for when I
worlds.
served darkness.
There is comfort in the
Now
crowd
I
and the
speak
shared
so you can
performance of
stand
duty,
protected,
but the
wise,
soul
and
often
covered in
seeks a
light
different
instead of
frequency.
unknowingly
True
stepping
discernment
into
begins in the
spiritual
moment
traps.
we step back,
The first
away
thing you
from
must
expectation
never
and
do at
into
a
the silence
funeral
of the
is
heart.
allow
In this
uncontrolled
stillness,
emotional
prayer
collapse
becomes a
that pulls
personal
you into
dialogue
despair
with the
instead
infinite,
of
no
grief.
longer a performance
There
for
is
the
a
world.
difference.
While others
Grief
move
is
to the
love
tempo of
processing
tradition,
loss, but
the inner
despair
spirit
is
finds its own
hopelessness that
pace,
whispers.
guided
Life
by
is
an
over.
unseen light.
Nothing matters.
This is where outward
In
signs
witchcraft
give way to
circles,
deep inner
we were
conviction,
trained to
a
target
moment of
people
pure,
drowning in that
focused
kind of
discernment.
emotional
For it
darkness
is in the
because
quietest
despair acts
moments
like
that
a
the loudest
spiritual
truths
signal
are finally
flare.
heard.
When someone isolates themselves at a funeral, sobbing with no comfort, rejecting prayer, rejecting support, repeating words of hopelessness, it was seen as an entry point. I remember being told, watch the ones who say they can go on. They are easiest to bind. That still chills me. Cry, yes. Mourn, yes. But don't surrender your hope. Stay connected to someone. Let someone hold your hand. Speak life, even through tears. Darkness feeds on hopelessness, but light flows through even the weakest whisper of faith. The second thing you must never do is take objects from the funeral site without understanding spiritual boundaries. I know this sounds strange, but listen carefully. In the dark practices I was involved in, soil from graves, funeral flowers, clothing of the deceased, even tissues used to wipe tears were sometimes used in rituals meant to create spiritual links. Most people pick up a flower from the casket as a keepsake with innocent intentions, but spiritually, funerals are charged environments.
There is a boundary
Emotions,
between the world
memories,
we
and
walk
spiritual
and the silence
transitions
that
are happening.
remains,
When
a
you
place
take
where every
something
object
without
holds a
prayer
memory.
or awareness,
These offerings
you
are
can
final tributes
unknowingly
left to
carry
rest in peace.
spiritual residue.
But curiosity
I'm
can
not
lead a
saying
hand where it
memories
does
are
not
wrong.
belong,
I'm
to
saying
take what
cover
was meant
them.
to stay.
If you
In
keep
that breath of
anything, pray
hesitation,
over it.
the air grows heavy.
Dedicated to
The
God.
wind begins to
Break
speak.
any
The
attachment to
witnesses
death
are
and
the
declare
echoes of
life
those who
over
came
your
before.
home.
To
Don't
take from the
bring
grave
grief
is to carry a
energy
burden
into
that
your
was never
house
yours to bear.
unguarded. I
Respect is
once
the
saw
only currency
items
the
used
silent
to create
accept.
spiritual
Let the flowers
oppression in
wither where they
families,
were
all
sown.
because
For
something
what
was
is left
taken
behind is
casually.
sacred,
The third thing
and
you
some
must
boundaries
never
are meant
do
to be
is
honored.
speak words
Leave
of
the peace to
self-curse
those
over
who
your
have
own
earned
life
it.
in the moment
Symbolic
of pain.
warning,
At
taking
funerals,
objects from the
people
grave.
often say
In the
things
bite
like,
of the winter
I
air,
wish I were dead too,
words are
or
no longer
I don't
silent.
want to live anymore,
They take
or
shape,
take
heavy,
me instead.
misted,
In the world
lingering
I
for a
left,
heartbeat
words
before
mattered
they
more than
vanish
emotions.
into the gray sky.
Spoken words
Every
during
breath
grief were
is a
seen as
memory,
legally binding
a
invitations.
weight we carry
Darkness
in
looks
the
for
quiet of
agreement.
this place.
I remember
We speak
rituals
to the
where we were
wind,
taught to ride the grief,
hoping it
meaning to
understands the
amplify the
gravity
words
of our
or
grief.
pain people
But as
spoke
the
so
breath
those words could
fades,
manifest as
a choice
depression,
remains.
sickness, or long-term
A
heaviness.
choice that
Please
waits
hear me.
in the
Your mouth
silence,
holds power.
to stay in
Cry
the
out
cold,
to God, yes,
or to
but
follow
do
the
not
light
prophesy
that's
death
starting to
over
break
yourself.
through the shadows.
Say,
The
this
words we
hurts,
leave
but I
behind
trust God.
don't define us.
Say, I will live
It's
and
the breath
fulfill my
we take
purpose.
next,
Even
the one
broken
that
words of
chooses
faith
life.
shut doors that witches
This
hope
is the
to
weight
use.
of hope.
Guard your tongue,
Flying towards
especially
the
when your
entrance,
heart is
the
wounded.
darkness seemed
The
welcoming,
fourth thing you must
until
never
suddenly
do
a
is
wall of golden
participate in
light blocked the
fear-based
path.
rituals
I
or
pressed forward,
traditions you
but
don't
the energy
spiritually
rippled like
understand
waves
just
against an
because
invisible
everyone else is
shield.
doing them.
It was
Some
impenetrable,
cultural
a
funeral
warm,
practices
protective
have
force
deep
refusing
meaning,
to
but
let me
others
through.
have roots in
In the
spiritual
quiet moments
beliefs
of
that
loss,
open doors.
the world
When
seems
I
to
was in
move in a
witchcraft,
blur,
we
a
studied
distant hum
traditions,
of shared
learning
sorrow.
which ones
While others
unknowingly
gather,
invoke
some
spirits
find
of the dead
themselves
or
in a space
invited
where time
ancestral
stands still
bondage.
and and silence is the
done
only
for
companion.
lack or
The bite
to
of the
avoid
wind
bad
and the
spirits,
rustle of the code
or
are the only
so the dead
reminders of a
won't
world that
return, were
continues to
often
turn.
disguised fear
Grief
rituals.
is a landscape
Fear
walked
itself
alone,
is a
an
door.
island of solitude
If you
where the
don't
path
understand the
ahead is
practice,
obscured.
step back and pray
Even nature
instead.
seems to hold its
You are
breath,
not
echoing
dishonoring
the
anyone
mournful
by
rhythm
protecting
of the
your
bereaved.
spirit.
It is a
True honor
quiet,
comes
heavy
from
weight,
love,
a
not
burden
fear.
carried in the
I
heart,
have seen
where
people
every
come under
breath
spiritual
feels like an
oppression
anchor.
simply because they
As the
agree to
voices
actions
fade
rooted in
and the world
superstition rather
retreats,
than
the
faith.
true
You
depth of
can mourn
isolation
with
reveals
respect
itself.
without participating
Isolation
in
in
anything
grief
that
is
makes your
not just
spirit
being
uneasy.
alone.
The
It is
fifth
being
thing you
elsewhere,
must never
in a
do
world
is stay
only the heart
at the grave or
understands.
funeral
In the
site
moments where
long
shadows
after the
feel
service
their
is
heaviest,
over in a
and the
state
weight
of
of the past
emotional
pulls us
wandering.
down into
When
the
the
silent
living
earth.
leave and
There
only
comes a
sorrow
flicker,
lingers,
a
that
single,
atmosphere
unwavering
becomes
spark
heavy.
of light that
In
refuses
witchcraft,
to be
graveyards
extinguished
were
by the
considered
dark.
places where
The heavy
spiritual
atmosphere
boundaries
dissolves
between
into a
life and
sanctuary
death
of
felt
warmth,
thinner.
a
Not
place where
because
the
of
air
Hollywood
itself
myths,
feels
but
ancient,
because of emotional
kind,
and
and
spiritual
renewed.
energy
Here,
tied
in
to
the quiet
love.
sanctuary of
We
the
were
spirit,
taught that
we find
lingering
our center.
spirits of
We
grief,
breathe in the
not the dead
stillness,
themselves,
our
but
strength.
emotional
A
residues,
sacred covering
could
begins
attach
to
to
take
people
shape,
who stayed
a
in that
shield of
space
light
too long,
and intention
especially
that
those
wraps around the
already
soul,
hurting.
keeping us
Visit,
safe and
honor,
whole.
pray,
As we
but
walk
don't
through
dwell
these
there.
beams of grace,
Life
we are
is for the
reminded that
living.
we are
Speak
never
blessings
alone.
and
Protection
release.
is all
I
around
had
us,
to break spiritual
enveloped in a
heaviness
safety
off
that
myself
transcends
years
the
after
physical
I left
world.
witchcraft
The shadows
because
are
I had
gone.
spent so
Calm
much
returns to
time
the
in
soul.
those places
Wrapped in
doing
spiritual
dark
protection,
assignments.
you are safe.
Don't let
You are
sorrow
home.
anchor you
You
to
are
the
held in
ground
the
of
light
death.
forever.
The sixth thing you must never do is isolate yourself spiritually after a funeral. Funerals are not just one-day events emotionally. In witchcraft, we marked after seasons, days following a funeral when grief settles in quietly. That is when many attacks happened, sudden anxiety, nightmares, heaviness, unexplained fear. People think the danger is over once the burial is done, but grief opens a window that can stay open if not spiritually closed. Pray in the days after worship. Stay connected to faith, community, and light.
Rituals provide
Don't
a rhythm
withdraw
to
into
grief, a
silence.
collective path
Darkness
through
works
loss.
best in
We follow
isolation.
the steps
I
laid out
remember
by
being
those
told to
before
watch the
us.
quiet
We
ones
light
after a
candles and
loss.
lay flowers,
Today I tell
performing
you,
the traditional
don't be
gestures
spiritually
that bridge
alone.
the gap
Even
between
a
worlds.
simple prayer
There is
before
comfort in
sleep
the
builds
crowd,
a
in
wall.
the shared performance
The
of
enemy
duty,
loves the
but
days
the soul
after.
often seeks a
But God's
different
presence is
frequency.
stronger
True
when you
discernment begins
intentionally
in the moment
invite
we
Him
step back,
in.
away
The
from
seventh thing you must
expectation
never
and
do
into the
is
silence
allow
of the heart.
anger toward
In this
God
stillness,
or
prayer
bitterness
becomes
toward
a
others
personal
to take root
dialogue with
during
the
mourning.
infinite, no
Pain
longer a
can easily
performance for
turn
the
into
world.
blame.
While
Why
others
did
move
God
to the
allow
tempo
this?
of tradition,
It's their
the inner
fault.
spirit
In
finds its own
witchcraft,
pace,
unresolved
guided
anger
by
was
an unseen
considered
light.
spiritual
This is
fuel.
where outward signs give way to
Bitterness
deep
hardens
inner
the heart,
conviction, a
and a
moment of
hardened
pure,
heart resists
focused discernment.
comfort, making
For
a
it is in the
person more
quietest moments
susceptible
that
to
the loudest
oppression,
truths are
depression, and
finally heard.
spiritual confusion. I'm not saying you can't ask questions. I'm saying don't let questions become accusations that separate you from the very source of healing. I watched rituals where anger was stirred in grieving people to keep them spiritually disconnected. Forgiveness and surrender close doors faster than anything else. Even whispering, God, I don't understand, but I trust you, weakens the grip of darkness. Healing flows where the heart stays soft, even when it is broken. The eighth thing you must never do is open yourself to spiritual contact with the dead out of longing. This is one of the most dangerous. When someone dies, the love doesn't disappear, and the desire to hear their voice again can be overwhelming. In witchcraft, we exploited that longing. We were taught how to imitate spiritual manifestations to make people believe they were connecting with loved ones, when in reality it was deception. Seeking signs, dreams, mediums, or messages invite spirits that are not who they claim to be. The dead are in God's hands. Your connection to them is memory, love,
There is a
and
boundary
faith,
between the
not
world we walk and the
communication.
silence that
I've seen
remains,
lives
a place where
unravel
every
from
object
this
holds a
doorway.
memory.
Grieve,
These
remember,
offerings are
honor,
final tributes
but
left to
do
rest
not
in
seek
peace.
contact.
But curiosity can
God
lead a
with
hand where
their
it does
soul
not
and
belong,
guard
to
yours.
take what was meant
I
to
want you
stay.
to
In
understand
that breath of
something deeply
hesitation,
personal.
the air grows heavy.
When I stood
The wind
at
begins to
funerals
speak.
in my
The
past
witnesses
life,
are the echoes
I
of those who
did
came
not see
before.
people the
To
way
take
you
from the
see
grave
them.
is to carry a
I
burden
saw
that was never
targets,
yours to bear.
open hearts,
Respect is the only
emotional
currency the
fractures.
silent accept.
That was the
Let the
language
flowers
of
wither where they
darkness.
were sown.
But
For
today,
what
when
is
I
left
stand
behind
at a
is sacred,
funeral, I
and
see
some
something
boundaries are
else.
meant to be honored.
Sacred
Leave the
love,
peace to those who have
sacred
earned
memory,
it.
and the
Symbolic
moment when
warning,
heaven
taking
draws
objects
near
from the
to
grave.
comfort.
In the bite of
The
the winter
difference is
air,
not the location.
words are no
It is
longer
the
silent.
spiritual covering.
They take
Awareness
shape,
changes
heavy,
everything.
misted,
You don't have to live
lingering
afraid.
for a
You
heartbeat
just have to live
before
aware.
they vanish into
Funerals
the
are
gray
not
sky.
evil, but
Every breath
vulnerability
is a
without
memory,
protection can be
a
dangerous.
weight we
Light
carry
is
in
stronger,
the quiet
but you
of this
must choose
place.
to
We
stand in
speak
it.
to the wind,
Grief is not
hoping
weakness.
it understands
It is
the
proof that
gravity
you
of our
love
grief.
deeply.
But as the
Darkness
breath
does not attack
fades,
because you are
a
weak.
choice
It
remains.
attacks because love is
A
powerful,
choice
and loss
that
shakes
waits in the
foundations.
silence.
When
To stay
foundations
in the
shake,
cold,
cracks appear,
or
and
to
that
follow
is
the
where
light
spiritual
that's starting
attacks
to
try
break
to
through the
enter.
shadows.
But
The
cracks
words
can
we
be
leave
sealed.
behind
Prayer,
don't
worship,
define
wise
us.
words, community.
It's
These
the
are
breath
spiritual
we take
cement.
next,
When I left
the one that
witchcraft,
chooses life.
one of the hardest things to
This
face was
is
the
the weight
memory
of
of how
hope.
grief had been manipulated.
Flying towards the entrance,
Sharing
the
this is part of
darkness
my
seemed
healing and
welcoming,
part of your protection.
until suddenly
Do
a
not
wall of golden
misunderstand
light
me.
blocked
I
the
am
path.
not telling you
I
to be
pressed forward,
suspicious of
but the energy
everyone or
rippled
afraid
like
of
waves
every
against
tear.
an invisible
I am
shield.
telling you to
It was
guard your
impenetrable,
spirit the way
a
you would
warm,
guard your
protective
body in a
force
storm.
refusing to let me
You
through.
wouldn't stand in
In
the
the
rain
quiet
without
moments of
shelter
loss,
and then
the
blame
world
the
seems
sky
to
for
move in a
being
blur,
wet.
a distant hum
Funerals
of
are
shared
emotional
sorrow.
storms.
While others
Bring
gather,
spiritual
some find
covering.
themselves in a
Even
space
a
where
simple
time
prayer
stands
before
still,
attending
and
changes the
silence is the
atmosphere
only
around you.
companion.
I
The
do
bite
it
of the
every
wind
time
and the
now.
rustle of a coat
I
are
pray
the
before I
only
enter
reminders
any
of a
funeral
world that
space.
continues to turn.
Something I never
Grief
did
is a
before.
landscape
I
walked
ask God
alone,
to cover my
an
mind,
island of
my
solitude where the
emotions,
path
my
ahead
body,
is
and my
obscured.
spirit.
Even nature
I
seems to
break
hold
any
its
agreement
breath,
with death
echoing
and
the
declare
mournful
life.
rhythm of the
This
bereaved.
simple
It is
act
a
closes
quiet,
doors
heavy
I
weight,
once walked
a
through
burden
easily.
carried in the
It
heart,
reminds
where
me
every
who I
breath
belong
feels
to.
like an anchor.
You can do the
As the
same.
voices
You
fade
don't need
and the
special
world
words,
retreats,
just
the true
sincerity.
depth of
Remember
isolation
that
reveals
darkness
itself.
works through legality
Isolation
and
in grief
agreement.
is not just
That
being
was
alone.
one of the biggest
It is being
secrets I
elsewhere,
learned.
in a world
If you do
only
not
the
agree,
heart
if you
understands.
do not
In
open
the
doors
moments when
through words,
shadows feel their
fear,
heaviest, and the
rituals,
weight of the
or
past
emotional
pulls us
surrender,
down into
the
the silent
enemy
earth,
loses ground.
there comes a flicker,
Funerals
a
don't
single,
have to be places
unwavering
of
spark of light
vulnerability.
that
They
refuses
can
to
be
be
places
extinguished
of
by the
strength
dark.
when you
The
stand
heavy
in truth.
atmosphere
You are not
dissolves into a
dishonoring the
sanctuary
dead
of
by
warmth,
protecting
a
the
place
living.
where the
In
air
fact,
itself
you
feels
honor them
ancient,
by living
kind,
well,
and renewed.
staying whole,
Here,
and
in the
refusing to
quiet
let grief
sanctuary of the
destroy
spirit,
you.
we find
The
ourselves.
best way to
We
honor
breathe in the
someone's life
stillness
is
and
to
remember their
continue
strength.
yours with
A
purpose and
sacred
light.
covering begins to
That
take
is
shape,
something
a
witchcraft
shield of
never
light
wants.
and intention
I
that wraps
share these
around the
things
soul,
not to
keeping
control
us
you,
safe
but to
and
free
whole.
you.
As we walk
Secrets
through these
lose
beams
power
of
when
grace,
exposed.
we are
The
reminded that
things
we
I
are
was
never
trained to
alone.
do in darkness
Protection
now
is all
become
around us,
warnings that protect
enveloped in a
others.
safety that
That is
transcends the
redemption
physical
in
world.
action.
The
If
shadows
you've
are
ever
gone.
felt
Calm
strange
returns to the
heaviness
soul.
after a funeral,
Wrapped in spiritual
unexplained
protection,
fear,
you are safe.
or
You
emotional
are home.
darkness that
You are held in the light
lingers,
forever.
don't panic. Pray. Cleanse your home spiritually. Speak life. Darkness cannot stay where light is intentionally invited. Your emotions are real, and God is not offended by your tears. He is near to the brokenhearted, but He also calls you to guard your heart, because from it flows the issues of life. Grief and guarding can exist together. Every funeral reminds us that life is fragile, but it also reminds us that eternity is real. Let that awareness draw you closer to God, not deeper into fear. Fear opens doors. Faith
Rituals
closes
provide a
them.
rhythm to grief,
You are
a
stronger than you
collective
know,
path
not
through
because of
loss.
your strength,
We
but
follow the
because
steps
of who
laid
walks
out by
with you.
those before
I
us.
once
We
walked
light
with
candles
darkness
and lay
and saw how
flowers,
limited
performing
it
the
really
traditional
is when
gestures
faced
that
with
bridge
true
the
faith.
gap between
Let
worlds.
funerals be
There is
moments of
comfort in the crowd,
reflection,
in the shared
love, and
performance of
closure,
duty, but the
not
soul
spiritual
often
traps.
seeks a different
You have
frequency.
authority over
True
your life.
discernment begins in
Use
the
it.
moment we step back,
Today,
away
if you
from
carry grief,
expectation
I
and
pray
into the
peace
silence of the
over you.
heart. In this
If you
stillness,
carry
prayer
fear,
becomes a
I
personal
pray
dialogue
courage.
with the infinite,
If you
no
carry
longer a performance
questions,
for the
I
world.
pray trust.
While others move to
I
the
left
tempo of
witchcraft
tradition,
so I could
the inner
speak
spirit
life
finds its
instead
own
of
pace,
curses.
guided by
And
an
this is
unseen
life,
light. This is where
awareness,
outward signs give way
faith,
to deep inner
love,
conviction,
and
a
hope
moment of
protect
pure,
you more than any
focused
ritual
discernment.
ever could. attitude.
For it is in
So
the
mourn with
quietest
love,
moments that the
remember
loudest
with
truths are
gratitude,
finally
and
heard.
walk away covered in light, knowing that no darkness has the right to claim what belongs to God.